Welcome to uBook channel. Read and listen to the greatest stories that mankind has ever told. From Iliad to Covid Terror, and other famous classics. Enjoy the best world literatures throughout history.
Covid Terror. Copyright 2021 by Gerry de Cadiz. All rights reserved. A unified Al-Qaeda and Islamic State took advantage of the ongoing COVID-19 pandemic in reinvigorating its jihadist cause for dominance and the re-establishment of a caliphate. World Health Organization Director General, Dr. Tedros Adhanom Ghebreyesus, said, "A virus is more powerful in creating political, economic, and social upheaval than any terrorist attack. Can have more powerful consequences than any terrorist action."
Covid Terror. Chapter 12.
Golden Horseshoe Golf Club, Williamsburg, Virginia. February 5, 2020. The golf club was designed with a personal touch by a father and son team, the Jones. It is recognized as one of America's 100 greatest public courses. There was a time that it was featured in an international historical show. The course boasted that being located in the revolutionary colonial Williamsburg, it honors the classic traditions of the game, while still creating an entertaining challenge for today's player. It could be that he still have a yearning desire to go back to his place in New Zealand. Set on a sprawling 3,500 square meters of land, his lavish villa by the riverfront that cost a little about $50 million showcases 6 bedrooms, a presidential suite living room, a marble en suites and a stunning outdoor entertaining space with infinity-edge pool, resort-style gardens, pool house with outdoor kitchen and expansive verandas. His occasional visitors enjoy also a heated spa, a north-south facing championship-sized tennis court, a boathouse, putting green and a private jetty for anchorage of his sky lounge. The elegant boat, with a style of its own, combined with clean lines and embellished with sophisticated materials and contemporary decorative touches, was selected by a magazine on sailing as one of the most exclusive luxury yachts in the country. His Auckland property is surrounded by a sprawling 25-acre of lush greeneries, creeks, and centuries-old trees. It is not so different with the mature woodlands of this course, that is, free from neighboring real estate. Missed the old farm? General Friedrich Clark joined the CEO of Al-Hassani Industries surveying the vast expanse of the 45 walkable holes over 3 courses. They were standing at the upper balcony of the Williamsburg Inn in one of the rooms with modern amenities, but sporting a sophisticated Regency decor. "Yes, Eric. One of these days, I will invite you to enjoy a warmer air in Middle-earth." Aaron chuckled. The general looked at him. What he can think of the New Zealand's moniker is J.R.R. Tolkien's fictional setting of the movie, The Lord of the Rings. The businessman opened his hands in explanation. "I have this villa in Auckland. The fresh, musky smell of Virginian air in this course makes me felt melancholic. It would be fun riding around the forest, to stretch some old muscles." The general pondered. "You can try also some extreme water sports. My sky lounge could outrun at sea any outboard motor boat you can throw at me. But table slaves like us don't have much time for any of your adventures." General Clark sourly commented. The armed forces only gave them a paid vacation leave of 30 days every year. Aaron showed him a mischievous smile. "That's an unending curse you're in. You should accept my offer, for you to serve as technical consultant on military materiel when you retire. I intend to tend a vineyard in a foggy valley, when the time comes that I have to discard permanently my holster." A frugal general like him could live a peaceful life, picking and mashing grapes in the pristine Virginia countryside. Aaron abruptly looked at him and asked, "What's this very urgent meeting?" "I have to cancel an appointment with the California governor," so I can take a 45-minute flight to the East Coast. General Clark opened his smartphone and showed him a picture. It's a screenshot from a cutout picture of the Jordanian jihadist, known in security agencies around the world as Sheikh of the Slaughterers. Aaron seems to be unfazed. What's the deal with that guy? It's been nearly 15 years, when I saw your top politicians almost dancing in the White House, for the death of the most ruthless terrorist leader in the Middle East. The general was silent for about a minute. He's been thinking of so many angles. Being a professional planner of the Pentagon, his gut feeling told him that some pieces of the puzzle are about to fit in. But his rational mind told him otherwise, and can't accept an obvious fact. I'd like to know something, Aaron. We are aware that you are well connected with Big Gutris in the Persian Gulf. Perhaps you can pull some strings to make an innocent inquiry as to what really happened to Abu Musab al-Zarqawi. He felt offended to the reference of his relationship with the Qadari royal house. The Western mind really cannot fathom the Bedouin mentality that a family, or a tribe, is where loyalty belongs. He doesn't like being pushed to betray the trust of His Highness the Father Emir. Aaron does not want to utter some false promises. Just like with anybody else in the political circle who would request for some favors, he's always non-committal. This is a favor that will cost you something, he said half-jokingly. But General Clark was serious. Would a $5.5 billion negotiated contract of PBN2 be enough? Two dark silhouettes can be seen approaching from opposite directions of the backyard of a Shenandoah Valley mansion. Trekking through wooded areas of Nelson County in the central Virginia region, the duo had to leave their vehicle some distance to avoid being detected. The 40-minute ride from Charlottesville via US 29's highway was uneventful. Winter night is very cold in this area, bounded by the James River on east and the Blue Ridge Mountains north and west. But after the snow melted, the place is very alluring for nature adventurers, as it is a home to orchards, wineries, and resorts that provides downhill skiing, mountain biking, horseback riding, golf and tennis. A minute ago, 3 Dobermans and another pair of German Shepherds were knocked down with tranquilizers. It would take another hour before these canines became a deadly threat again. The motion sensors and CCTVs in the building's peripheries have been muzzled and electronically disabled earlier with false video feeds. Clark Mansion was constructed by Union General William Thomas Clark for his beloved wife before the American Civil War. Designed with a neoclassical architectural style, characteristic of the 19th century southern United States, the sprawling dwelling is surrounded by vineyards and hiking trails, as the Blue Ridge Mountains runs through the area. The valley is usually where the rich and powerful would have their rest houses, and enjoy the peaceful and parochial setting of the countryside. Privacy is a prime commodity in the neighborhood. The next house is a mile away. What appears to be a woman, the one at the eastern side, sprinted to the nearest shadow near a doorway, signaling the other one that all is clear. The family is on vacation. Our target just arrived with his bodyguard. She motioned to a lighted room in the second floor. General Friedrich Clark poured himself a tumbler of the Virginia Highland malt whiskey. Preferring a neat drink so as not to dilute the flavors, he dispensed with the ice. He recalled that in one of his visits to a local winery, the head distiller shared a secret on how this golden liquid became the best American single malt whiskey just recently. We meticulously worked through sensory analyses to find those valuable components, and make sure they are not overpowered or hidden, but instead developed and complementary to each other. In his younger years, he would always complete several rounds of hard drinking with his protégés. As part of their R&R. Oftentimes, junior officers who are of promising intellect and courage were invited. Their month-long field operations seem compensated, with some rest and relaxation, with picnics and war games in the Shenandoah Valley. General, just holler if you need anything. I'll be in the sala. His aide-de-camp peeked through the door and went downstairs. Although he's a senior officer, but being assigned for an office function and inactive in field operations, the army allowed him with only one bodyguard. This mansion was inherited from his great-grandfather, an American soldier and politician, serving as a general in the Union Army during the American Civil War, and as a post-bellum U.S. congressman. It will pass on to his eldest son, a highly decorated officer in the newly activated U.S. Space Force. Once his wife and daughter comes back next week from their vacation in the Caribbean, Lieutenant Colonel Siegfried Clark is expected to be around for a family reunion. His attention was caught by a military decoration, awarded in the name of the President to those wounded or killed while serving. Framed in an oak panel, the various honors were arranged by order of importance. But of all the numerous awards, decorations, and commendations he garnered in his long military career, it's the Purple Heart Medal which is very dear to him. He was nearly awarded with it posthumously, if not for the conspicuous gallantry and intrepidity at the risk of life above and beyond the call of duty, of an Army Ranger. In his final tour of duty in the Middle East, as commanding officer of the 75th Ranger Regiment, he met one of the most capable officer, who became a Medal of Valor awardee. A man of few words, Captain Sean Gabriel Fitzgerald took the lead, in the bloody and atrocious house-to-house fighting, against an overwhelming number of ISIS terrorists in the suburbs of Mosul, annihilating the enemies, and saving the lives of his CO and several troopers. Sage, as the officer was called by the troops, went on to volunteer in going back to Iraq, this time, as a Delta Force operator deployed behind enemy lines in the Operation Inherent Resolve. Later on, a near-death encounter with the Al-Qaeda-affiliated Jemaah Islamiyah in the Philippines, forced him to change career. The last time he heard about him, the once ferocious warrior had entered the cloak and dagger business, and currently posing as a benign guru in the Far East. The general picked up the phone and called his office. "Signal HRC to do a tracing for me." The U.S. Army Human Resources Command is the functional proponent for military personnel management. From basic training through retirement, regular and reserve soldiers have one agency to assist in career management. "Shoot, General." The night duty responded sharply. Even in the middle of the night in the Pentagon, there is always somebody manning the office of anyone with 2 stars and above. Let the Bureau contact their counterpart in the CIA, to direct Professor Sean Gabriel Fitzgerald, to report back to the States for a special mission. Mark the communique with, "Confidential, and your action must be in my table by 1000 hours tomorrow." "Roger that, sir." He heard a loud thud downstairs. "Sergeant, you should avoid putting your weight on that sofa. The utility man forgot to do some repair on that piece of furniture. Somebody is climbing the upstairs." "Perhaps, Sergeant Leroy may have thought that I'm ordering for something," the general said to himself, while taking another shot of the whiskey. The door opened, and the first thing that he saw is the muzzle of a sound suppressor, attached to a Glock 19, the compact 9mm handgun favored by Navy SEALs. The general's first reaction is to reach for his M9 Beretta, placed about a meter from him at the study table. But the assassin's reaction is much faster. A single ping and a spark of the 9mm slug tossed his firearm clattering on the floor. The next bullet tore through the bones of his right wrist, and the third round hit his left chest, just above the heart. The successive split-second shots slumped the officer to his bed. The general felt the warmth of his blood, flowing freely out of his body. Dazed and in shock, he saw the profile of a white Caucasian woman who asked him forcibly, shoving the barrel of her handgun in his right temple, "Who else knows of Harba?" As he tried to talk, blood poured out from his mouth. He felt dizzy. He willed his body to sit upright, but it seems that he's weighted down to the mattress. He saw a man entered the room, hoping the sergeant would bushwhack this deadly intruder. As he squinted his eyes, he saw somebody muscular and of oriental feature. "Search him," the woman commanded. The newcomer manhandled the army officer. After a while, he got what they wanted. It's here. A folded paper was extracted from the inner breast pocket of the bloodied quarry. The woman examined it under the light. "We're done," and she readied her smartphone to take a video. Mortally wounded with excessive blood loss in every second, the victim was drained of energy. He was dragged to his knees and forced to face the dresser mirror. He knew what will happen next. Major General Friedrich Clark does not saw in the mirror a victim's bloodied face of a brutal assassin's attack. Instead, he can perceive from his darkening vision a U.S. Army colonel of youthful energy, leading a regiment of Rangers alongside an armed multitude of Peshmerga forces, charging against thousands of ISIS terrorists. The man suddenly took a curved blade from his jacket, that the media touted as a blade of jihad. Showing it before the woman's video camera, he forcefully kneed General Clark while holding tightly at the receding hair. Looking intently at the camera, the man slowly slit the neck, amidst a shriek of agony and futile effort of the general to get free, tearing through the bones, ligaments, and muscles. After the head separated from the torso, he raised it for the video to record, and they shouted together, "Allahu Akbar." "We pretty much shut it down coming in from China." The US president reiterated his earlier statement, in an interview with Sean Hannity in Fox News. "But we can't have thousands of people coming in, who may have this problem, the coronavirus. We're going to see what happens, but we did shut it down." Prior to that, his executive order went into effect, which effectively banned anyone who has been to China in the previous 14 days, except for US citizens, lawful permanent residents and their close family members. In the past few weeks, all media outlets began covering several instances of coronavirus cases, in many countries in the world. The American public is getting worried that sooner or later, its victims will be their families and friends. But the situation on the ground is different. Legislators and governors are getting wary. Until now, the government does not have any concrete plan to counter this threat. The prominent acts being seen every day are top officials resorting to rhetorics. The White House press corps is the group of journalists, correspondents, and members of the media to cover the President of the United States, White House events, and news briefings. Feeling comfortable in the resolute desk of the Oval Office, while taking questions from the media, the multi-billionaire CEO turned politician exudes an aura of magnificence and authority, fitting as the leader of the most powerful country in the world. President Donald Trump downplayed the impact of the disease, despite the declaration of public health emergency of international concern by the World Health Organization. "Looks like by April, in theory, when it gets a little warmer, it miraculously goes away." The country's leadership seems to be in control of everything, and hoping against odds, that the dreaded disease will just go away. Is it scientifically founded that the virus will just fade away during summer? A reporter from a major news channel quizzed him. "I hope that's true," Mr. Trump quipped. "But we're doing great in our country. And I think it's going to all work out fine." His typical overconfidence and jovial manner harvested a critical scrutiny and unexpected comments from everyone. "Sir, the WHO warned that a virus can have more powerful consequences than any terrorist action. Are you not worried that this will get out of hand here in the US?" A writer covering for a national tabloid chimed in. Trying to evade the question, the president replied, "The coronavirus is very much under control in the USA. We are in contact with everyone and all relevant countries. CDC and World Health have been working hard and very smart. Stock market starting to look very good to me." Somebody from the press corps was trying to get the attention of the president. "Sir, you're very optimistic." However, the WHO raised the global risk of the coronavirus from high to very high. It means that from a small number of infected individuals, it can increase exponentially in a short period of time. Would it not require proper planning and preparation of medical equipment and support, in case the worst would happen? What's your contingency plan? I have to relate to you what I told to some senators who came to me. The president eagerly conferred with the media. This was unexpected and it hit the world. And we're prepared, and we're doing a great job with it. And it will go away. Just stay calm. It will go away. But in the White House's Situation Room, the mood is different. Officially known as the John F. Kennedy Conference Room, the 513.3 square meter Intelligence Management Center in the basement of the West Wing, is presently shrouded with a gloomy atmosphere. Intended as a place to monitor and deal with crises at home and abroad, and to conduct secure communications with outside, often overseas, persons, the sit room is equipped with secure, advanced communications equipment, for the President to maintain command and control of U.S. forces around the world. The tense air is aggravated by the heated discussions of senior White House staff and advisors. Everybody wanted to find ways in containing the impact, not of the coronavirus so far, but of the President's statements, which acknowledged the dangers of the pandemic and yet, downplaying the threat to American lives. I wanted to always play it down. I still like playing it down because I don't want to create a panic, they heard their boss saying it. The audio clip has been posted on the Washington Post's website. NBC News is more conciliatory. It reported that probably, the president is simply trying to avoid panic, and was showing some form of leadership. We have to show calm, Trump was saying. Certainly I'm not going to drive this country or the world into a frenzy. We want to show confidence. We have to show strength. An author wrote that Trump was given dire warnings in January, about the virus that would lead to a worldwide pandemic by March. This will be the biggest national security threat you face in your presidency, National Security Advisor Robert O'Brien told Trump on January 28, according to the book, Rage. This is going to be the roughest thing you face. Dr. William Blitsky turned off the slideshow and faced the assembled staff. As the assistant to the president for planning and special affairs, he is the nominal White House troubleshooter. That is not the biggest issue of the day, the IPSA interjected. People are getting uneasy as the days dragged on, and it's a little bit nasty out there. How are we going to tone down the hostile stance of the media to those pronouncements? The assistant to the president for policy and international relations made his presence known. Something need not be voiced out. It's election time, and the man above must be shielded from any unnecessary issue coming from the press. We can employ the best PR machine in the world. It's their job to repackage the negative publicity of the president. What they are asking for is a concrete plan that will outline what the United States will do to mitigate, if not, stop the spread of the virus in U.S. territories. Dr. Blitsky looked at the appear with disdain. This guy should not to be crossed, as he is considered the right-hand man of the president. He continued, as I said, it's not the biggest issue of the day. The room fell silent. He got their attention. Turning on an online whiteboard, and opening a new presentation, Bill Blitsky faced the audience and speak with a sober tone. You have seen from social media posts, the ocular inspection in China conducted by a team from the World Health Organization. The UN Health Agency subsequently posted its satisfaction of how Beijing handles the health emergency. Flashing a picture of an empty city, he continued. The Wuhan lockdown was particularly lauded by the WHO, to serve as a model that can be done in other countries. Another image with a caption of, "Coronavirus cure in sight," show Chinese scientists intently conducting experiments. A big question flashed, where did it leave the US? After a lull, the IPSA slowly said the words one by one. We become the receiving end. This lopsided position must come to an end. Day by day, the casualties kept on increasing. People are getting scared. And the WHO should not be serving the interest of one country alone. Somebody wanted to comment by clearing his throat, but it seems the man did not find his voice. Showing a full profile of the president juxtaposed with the WHO Director General, Blitsky declared, "Time will come that the boss will call it quits." The US president in various occasions had harshly criticized the WHO for its inept response to the coronavirus pandemic, further accusing its top officials of bowing to Chinese influence. Referring to his boss, the main reason of the man for the US to sever its relations with the WHO is the agency's inadequate response to the initial outbreak of the coronavirus in China's Wuhan province late last year. With the help of close aides to Trump, a briefer is being prepared for the president to announce that Chinese officials ignored their reporting obligations to the WHO and pressured the organization to mislead the public about an outbreak that has now killed thousands of Americans. The right hand pronounced some words of caution. There are influential policy makers in Capitol Hill who said that the time to do a hard look at the mistakes of WHO is after the crisis has been dealt with, not in the middle of it. But it may be too late, the IPSA was quick to answer. He pushed further. We should not be swayed with the argument that the WHO is the only body capable of leading and coordinating the global response to the pandemic. The assistant to the president on budget and finance is more practical. Under the 1946 WHO Constitution, if ever we would withdraw membership, certain conditions must be met, primarily our financial obligations to the agency, before it can be finalized. According to reports by international think tanks, the United States, which is the WHO's largest donor, and provides it with more than $450 million per year, currently owes the UN Health Agency some $200 million in current and past dues. Dr. Blitsky outlined their plan of action. We were tasked to prepare a policy paper that the President can give to the State Department, to be forwarded to the World Health Organization as our notice of withdrawal from WHO membership. A team of young officers from the United States Space Force is conducting a more dangerous discussion, war. Utilizing some equipment of the USAF Warfare Center in Schriever Air Force Base, Colorado, the group conceptualized and played a scenario that is far relevant, based on what is happening in the world today. Codename Project C, it is a simulation of how relations and interactions among major powers will be played out if the coronavirus pandemic disrupt all political, economic, and social systems in the world. You need to be more aggressive. Gold could easily disrupt your political system and destroy you internally, using your democratic selfish interest. Lieutenant Colonel Siegfried Clark rebuked the leader of the Blue Team, representing the Americans. The gold, for the Chinese, is very crafty, well organized and could muster abundant resources. What will you do, if Red will choose to isolate itself and would only take what is good for them, at the same time, stocking arms for the final reckoning with Blue or anyone? Just recently, the Russian president had already been on that line of policy measure, developing more weapons of hitherto unknown technology. Of course, Purple cannot do anything because it is drowning in its own political and economic problems. The European Union is indeed incapable as of the moment to look beyond its borders, much more extend a hand to its traditional allies. Green is just on standby, that whoever dominates in world hegemony, it will readily extend its allegiance to the winner, and partake the spoils. Everybody agree that the Arabs could easily ally to anyone who can meet their demands, and serve their interests. And while you're at it, Black will rock the boat and rattle everyone. Terrorist forces are known to take advantage of the situation, when everyone is busy with their own business. In this simulation game, I want everybody to reconsider your strategies, in light of the current situation of your assigned team or nationality. The emblem of 527th Space Aggressor Squadron has been the butt of jokes among trainees in the base. They're mystified why a proud and highly decorated World War II bombardment unit will adapt that agitated black bird with a yellow beak and talons, which preferred to use a bomb rather than a rifle on a target below the clouds. That's what a real aggressor shall be. A common shout heard among drill sergeants. The 527th Space Aggressor Squadron trains U.S. joint and allied military forces for combat with space-capable adversaries, preparing them for combat through realistic threat replication, training, and feedback through specialized and space-capable aggressors. Lieutenant Colonel Siegfried Clark put back his patch, and continued his leisurely walk to the barn. Located on the far southwest end of Schriever Air Force Base, it is the operations warehouse, where elements of the 527th SAS replicate live GPS and satellite communication electronic attacks, for training service. Members across the world. Sitting on a shaded bench across his barracks, Siegfried took out a gold necklace from his ACU trouser. It is the priceless heirloom he always kept wherever he goes. The obverse of the 24-carat medallion features an embossed bust of William Thomas Clark, a brevetted Union Major General of the American Civil War. The reverse side is a historical emblem of the family, an opened book where a crossed cutto and musket rest, topped with the flying bald eagle. The original officer's cutto and gem-embedded scabbard from the 1st Virginia Regiment is in proud display in the mansion study, while the 1769 Shortland musket captured from a British officer adorned a side panel next to the sword. Both arms are inscribed with the name of their progenitor, General George Rogers Clark, an American surveyor, soldier, and militia officer from Virginia, who became the highest-ranking American patriot military officer on the northwestern frontier during the American Revolutionary War. As a tradition in his family, those items and other ancestral military mementos would have been bestowed on him formally in a family gathering, witnessed by relatives and friends. Too late, Dad. The planned reunion at Clark Mansion became a necrological service, before the body of the general was taken for a military funeral procession, for permanent interment at Arlington National Cemetery. The FBI got no lead on the perpetrators. Meanwhile, the CIA assured him that they have an agent who will undertake the case. Colonel Clark was glad that its Professor Sean Gabrielle Fitzgerald, a Medal of Honor hero during the Iraq War, and the one who once saved the life of his father from the ISIS. He promised to call Sage for an update, and support him in any way he can during the investigation. God help those who did it to his family's patriarch. He took out the gift that General Friedrich Clark gave him on his last promotion. It's an original, custom-made survival knife made famous in the movie, Rambo, First Blood. Tapping several times the medallion with its stainless surgical steel, the son made a vow. Some freakin' bastard's gonna pay, Dad. Generally, Islamic law forbids all intoxicants, alcohol, opium, and marijuana. But there are experts within their ranks, who debated whether the ban on intoxicants cover not just alcohols, but also drugs such as opium, hashish, and marijuana. For hundreds of years, Bedouins have drunk and eaten the resin of the marijuana plant's flowering tops. Some Muslim scholars argued that cannabis and opium are medicines, not intoxicants. Despite that contention, in places where there is extreme poverty and unlike in other social settings, seldom can you see many alcoholics or drug addicts, because of their religious ban on alcohol and drugs. Florida in this time of the year, with sea temperature at 24 degrees C and low humidity, is lovely for swimming. The night's breeze is still cool, but the afternoons are pleasant and warm. In the basement of an oceanfront mansion in Vero Beach, Sharifia and Gian are enjoying a bottle of raki, that sweetened, anise-flavored, alcoholic drink that is often served with seafood or maize. This reminds me of the first time I have to taste an alcoholic drink. We were trying to grab, and hopefully neutralize a high-profile target in Istanbul. As the guy went inside a bar in Beyoğlu, we were in quandary. The shy big man is secretive and seldom share his life story. Why didn't you just shoot the man right by the door? No one will be any the wiser. She raised an eyebrow as to the lack of initiative by Gian. The place is known for its high-octane hub of eating, drinking, and entertainment. Drug transactions, prostitutions, and contract killings are commonplace in this European side of the city. That's what I have in mind. But my sidekick, a hot-blooded Russian sheik, suggested a more reasonable idea. So, we went inside and she ordered a full measure of a modified version of this wine they call Yeni Raki. He took his glass and sipped a little. They gave me something that looked like a glass of milk, so I did a big gulp. Sharifia laughed. Ugh. That's 90 proof liquor. Even our own good old English whiskey is not that fierce. This spirit came from a single malt that has been lightly peaked, adding just a hint of smokiness, while emphasizing the peppery, piney notes from its ex-filled bourbon cask aging. On the other hand, the Turkish raki is 45% alcohol by volume, which is considered one of the beloved local beverages in the country, especially during winter. For a first-timer, surely, it's gonna be explosive. She can't help her glee. You can't imagine the spectacle I made. Seems like my mouth was on fire. I rushed to the washroom, pushing to smithereens some glasses in another table. Jian has to gurgle repeatedly the tap water. It took a while before the wine passed off its effect. When he was about to wash his face, a man came in the public room. It's the target. Oh man, you should have thought beforehand about taking a full glass of ethanol. He has that sneer of a bully. In the dossier, he's a Svobodan chemist on the verge of duplicating the aborted US Army weapon saxitoxin. The order from higher UPS is to offset the mind behind the production of a weapon of mass destruction that can be used by this guy's ethnic group secessionist forces against the Russian-backed Ukrainian military. A quick side sweep of his hand to the neck surprised the chemist. Exerting a powerful lock and an abrupt twist, left the head hanging lamely, as the bones that support it crunched and snapped. Jian immediately dragged the lifeless body to a cubicle and locked it from inside. No trace of the struggle can be seen. He finished combing his hair as a group of rowdy drunks came in. Well, we all have our fair share of acts of stupidity, while in the line of duty. She placated the hurt ego of her partner. 2 years ago when she was recruited by General Gu, she thought that it was only a temporary assignment in China, to protect the PLA officer from harassment by some cronies of the Chinese Communist Party's top leadership. She even asked her deputy to take over for the meantime the leadership of the Al-Shabaab while she's not around. It was in one operation that she met Ye Jian and their closeness begun. A native from the Chinese province of Heilongjiang, he thought that it's nearer to Vladivostok than Beijing. So, he volunteered, trained and was inducted to the Russian Special Operations Forces. She found out later that he became a mercenary after a botched operations of his former unit in southwestern Russia, getting entangled in the armed conflict in the Donbass region of Ukraine. As expected, the Kremlin leadership disowned them, and feed their unit to the syndicates of the secessionist army they were fighting along with. His only option is to sell his valued services to the highest bidder. After contacting some friends in the Zhongguo Renmin Jifang Juntaong Budui, he was granted an audience with General Gu by a comrade, who joined earlier in the PLA's Special Operations Forces. His Spetsnaz skills were legendary among the secret operatives employed by the general. On the other hand, her craftiness and commanding presence has been reliable even in a very tight situation. When they teamed up, they became the most efficient assassins in mainland China, that even the dreaded agents of Qiujia Ankan Buletin wanted not to mesh up with them, except for rogue ones like their future colleague, Mr. Fan. How did it goes? Sharifia received a call from the emir. With the death of General Gu, they were recruited by Ahmed, to do not just some missions they used to undertake, but also highly specialized assignments. After their extraction from China, they were given new papers and identities. She assumed a nom de guerre of Louise Luthwaite, while Jian became Yusuf ibn Faid. We got the paper you wanted, Amir. It's very incriminating, as you thought it would be. Ahmed chuckled. Louise, It's always good to anticipate the move of an enemy. You don't have to fight to win a war. She understood fully well this tactic. Sun Tzu advised that, the greatest victory is that which requires no battle. As always, Yusuf was very efficient in his job. She reported with elation. Stay put and enjoy the breeze. You'll have another errand in the coming days. A true commander of Allah always takes good care of his warriors.
Thank you for watching. Write in the comments section for your request as to what book, usually from Project Gutenberg, you want us to feature in U-Book channel.
Click like to boost the rating of U-Book channel, make a comment for us for the improvement of our services, and share this video to your friends, with the copyright intact. Please click subscribe, and hit the bell button to be notified of new uploads from U-Book channel.